Yes, we are live. Welcome back, my dear friends. This is episode number 52 of Zero Point Healing Show. And in this show, we are going to discuss about transforming mental overwhelm to clarity. I think all of us need a dose of this because at some point or the other in our lives, we feel stuck. We feel all this stress that's going in our life, and most of us would have problems in different areas of our life. So today I have with me an amazing guest who is gonna take us through this process and tell us how we can let go and transform ourselves. And before I move on to my guest, just a small intro about me. I'm Vishnupriya, and I am the founder of Zero Point Healing. I am certified in multiple different healing modalities, and I'm also the founder of Bliss Consciousness Healing Academy, where I teach consciousness and where I do multiple different healings for my clients. But Zero Point Healing is an inspiration that I got through coming through my own journey of life. I had gone through a lot of problems, but each of the healing modalities that I learned transformed my life, took me to a point from where I was in a deep darkness of my whole life. That was the deepest. And from there, it helped me transform and become the person that I wanted to be. So all of these healing modalities, each of these ones helped me take that next step in my life. So that's why I was inspired to create this kind of a platform called zeropointhealing.com, which is a web directory of all healing modalities, of all healers and practitioners and facilitators and therapists who are transforming this world, who has answers to your questions. It might be different areas of your life that you're trying to fix and you are stuck. You do not know how to unstuck yourself and achieve the dreams. But I'm here to tell you, you have the power within you to achieve your dreams. It's just you might need a little bit of guidance, a little bit of help. And that's what these healing modalities are there for me. And in this new world that we are in, we don't have to go back to the hospitals, take medicines and do surgeries. There's so many alternative healing therapies that can help us get into the root cause of the problem and transform our lives. So that is what we are going to discuss in this session as well. If you are a healer, therapist, facilitator yourself of any holistic healing modality, I invite you to zeropointhealing.com. You can register there, and you can also, if you're interested in doing this kind of interview with me, I welcome you for that as well. You can contact me. All right. So with that being said, I'm moving on to my guest today. Welcome, Chelsea. Thank you so much for coming to my show. Can you tell us a little bit about you and tell us about your transformation journey? Tell us how you became a completion process practitioner, and from there how you developed your programs.
Yeah, thank you so much, first of all, for having me. I really, really appreciate what you're doing. It's a beautiful place to come and combine all these beautiful healing modalities, which is one of the ways that I've gotten to where I have gotten to, is combining all of these beautiful people who have stepped into their purpose, and now we're sitting here as a result of these processes. So, I grew up in what I would say an environment that was filtered through a lot of different people's opinions. I lost my mum to suicide very, very little. And so what happened is I kind of, at that core value rejection point, had a very core belief that I was going to be rejected. And that kind of spiraled me into needing to be a chameleon to anyone I was around. And that makes sense, right? But I didn't know that's what I was doing. I was becoming whoever I was around so that I didn't get rejected, because as far as my little body knew, that who I wasn't lovable. And that's just a condition that was inbuilt by that experience that when you don't process it, can become stuck as a belief in our system. So that was really, really stuck. And as much as there were therapies and healing modalities along the way that attempted to unstuck that core belief, over time, it wasn't just that belief that was stuck. It was a myriad of all different things, because what I did was, because I was such a people pleaser to every single human I was in front of, I took on every personality. And so I didn't even know who I was. I was completely lost. I woke up feeling like, I don't think I know the difference between being dead or alive. And it was a really amazing and scary defining moment for me. I had done my psychology degree. I was the self-help go-to person, and I did all of these things because I felt so broken and lost. So I wanted to fix myself. And that was a place of not enough. So I constantly attempted to try and find ways to then almost give back to the world, because I didn't feel good enough. So I overgave. And it was just this journey of mental overwhelm, but I think just completely life throwing itself at me and me having no reference to filter, because I hadn't been fundamentally taught the art of validation of emotions in a way that really spoke to the pure, true source, authentic self I was. So no matter what degree, no matter what modality I was going through, I really found it difficult to interpret life. It really just felt like I had to interpret it through your eyes. So at the time, I had to be so in tune and so aware of what you were doing so that I wouldn't be rejected, that I didn't matter. And so what that became is so many voices. They're the ones that argue. They're the ones that want to get excited but can't. But they're the ones that don't know how to act in a certain situation, in case when they're acting, the way that they're acting is going to be received in a way that they don't want. And ultimately, the fear was complete rejection. And so what happened is that whole dead or alive realization was, I got to give it one more try. I had tried my guts out to be authentic, to find myself, and felt like a failure. And I was like, I'm intelligent. I know what I'm doing. I've got my degree. Come on. How do I not get this? How do I not apply it to myself and get results? And so I actually did this very, it's when you get to that pain point and you're like, I got to let it all go and try one more thing. And I don't know what the one thing is, but if I let it go and I just go, whatever, I don't know what the heck to do, but I'm letting it all go. That was my defining moment, because I had tried to filter through so many different things that I didn't know what I was filtering through anymore. And then I went, okay, I need to try something different. And didn't know what that was, but the letting go allowed an energy shift to go from I'm needing to be in control to find the answer to I don't know the answer, I don't even know where to start. Almost like a throw it all away, universe, you got to do something, or I'm not doing this anymore. And it was, in a way, in the energy I felt, like a last choice, because I hadn't been committed to living before. I'd really entered a space of not being committed to being alive. So I was really committing to, I will give it everything I've got, but it's got to be different than what I've all gone through, and it either changes me or I'm not doing it anymore. And I think that point we get to a lot, where we're just so over it. We might not be at the I don't want to live anymore, but we all get to I cannot for the life of me work out why I keep coming up with the same freaking issues. And so that for me was my turning point. And then all of these quite synchronistic experience started to come to me when I stopped being in control. It's very, very scary prerequisite. It's a very scary feeling to trust something that you're not quite sure it will hold you. But I didn't have any reference point for being held anyway, so it didn't feel like a risk. It was just I'm feeling it and I'm not feeling it. I'm just going to go with it. And then I came across Teal Swan's videos, and I was it was like drawing to someone, when it happens, you're like, what's happening to me? I've had a lot of those moments. So the synchronicity to her videos that just describes so much of what my struggle was, and the alignment to the strategy to shift the beliefs. then led me to a website that then she was saying she was a practitioner in the program. Now, up until this point, I'd already started doing a lot of trauma work. I'd been in the psychology system. I'd been doing EMDR. I'd been doing a lot of different trauma therapy. So I'd shifted a lot. I'd started to understand a lot about what was happening to me, but I needed another shift. It was a pretty fundamental shift I needed. And a part of me knew that there was a risk in going to the program and still feeling like I wasn't good enough or I wasn't enough. So, but I knew that as I was leading up to going to do the training, that I was really putting myself in a position where I was feeling good at, like I did have to accept that I was good enough, that I am a practitioner, that I was, I was already coaching. There was all these things I was trying to do. And it also amped me up to healing in an even better way, and I was using the completion process on myself. It was transforming my life. I was doing shadow work. There was just some fundamental changes. And then when I went to the training and we got trained, it was a beautiful experience. And it just ignited in me, as we were dealing with trauma ourselves through each other, just a transformational change. And when I got back from that experience, I had a download, so to speak. It was really quite a spiritual experience for me of the program that I created, the Unconditioned Self. And I felt like all of my self-help and healing modalities and all of these, and psychology, I felt like they all came into one, as if it made sense. And as I'd seen healing happen in 6 months, like I'd never seen healing in my life happen before, the steps that were created, the alignment to myself and my truth, it was like I found myself, I found clarity about what I wanted. And I was like, do people realize this is possible? Because I swear I had no reference point for being clear in my head. It was the furthest thing from the truth that I would ever believe anyone would tell me that I'd be able to be clear on what I wanted. So I became very passionate about the program based on the fact that I felt very gifted with it. I was like, 5 steps. It's not this quick fix thing at all, but it's a beautiful journey that I took to finding myself. And I can tell you right now, there feels like a very beautiful clarity about this being the truth because of the journey I've gone through.
That is so amazing. And I now see how you developed the program by going through your own problems. I think this is the experience of most of the holistic healing practitioners. It's when they go through their own problems in life, they are searching for the solutions. And finally, when they get one, it's that enthusiasm, it's that inspiration that comes from that to share it with the world, to help others achieve the same. So yes, all of us have this kind of inspirational story to talk about. That's beautiful. So now going into the topic of, I think you have already covered the topic by going through your own experience of transforming from that mental overwhelm to clarity. So now let's talk about the Unconditioned Self program that you have created. And tell us what it is and how is it that a person of maybe of your situation few years back when you were in that kind of stressful situation, when a person who might be a viewer of this interview, who might have lots of different problems in their lives, how is it that they can come into the program and have this transformation like you had?
Yeah. So I think it's really important to understand that when we have all of these thoughts and feelings and emotions and stuff going on that create the overwhelm, that there's a reason why they were created that way. So we're conditioned in our childhood to believe a whole different lot of things in order for us to be loved and accepted. So our premise in life is I will either be loved or I will be rejected, and my ultimate goal is love. Okay, so I'm going to do whatever I need to do. As a child, we're still learning that the person needs of me, and what that does is create a whole bunch of conditions that we then live through, not feeling really like we had the choice either way. We just followed it because this person was either going to love or not love us. And so that's where the overwhelm comes. And then we start to use other people that we come across and all of their stuff. And the thing that's really important to know is that the conditioning is only a condition that they've been conditioned by. And so if you think about it, there is no right or wrong to what you choose, but how do you know what your truth is? And that is the thing that blew my mind, because I was like, oh, so my childhood, although I'd learnt all these things and I was told right or wrong, there isn't, because really it's only relative to their right or wrong, which is their right or wrong. And we're all having to work out what our own is. And that's the clarity I'm speaking about. That's the clarity. It's the unconditional acceptance of being present with your truth, because you know it. So how do we know it? That's the program. How do we know our truth? How are we clear about what we want in the midst of a million different people telling you all different things? And that is where we get stuck, is we're filtering through everyone else's conditions. And when we're not realizing that really we need to uncondition our own conditions to work out our authentic self. And that's what authenticity is. So the program allows you to go through a process, and it's quite organic. Although there's 5 steps, the organic process is that it just works alongside each other. A lot of the time, and this is really important to notice, is because our overwhelm comes from our mind, we're bringing our mind to our heart in this situation. And the program allows us to get into our heart. So even having a 5-step process, this is appeasing to the people who want the process. And yet it's also beautiful in that the way it works in the program is a lot of trust. And so it won't be like, I need to do this, this, and this, and this, because we want to get out of that logic and feel what it feels like to align to our truth. So what does it feel like in your body to align to, this feels right for me? It's the gut that we're all looking for, that gut feeling. And so the 5 steps are letting go. So the first step, that's easy. I've talked about that. That letting go is like, oh, I've got no idea. In fact, don't tell me anything I've done before. If it can be completely different, I'd really appreciate it, because I've tried that. Okay, so letting go is really important. And it's about letting go and being okay to be fearful that you don't know if it's going to work, because that is called faith. And I always wondered why the hell people kept talking about faith. And I was like, I don't get that concept until this happened to me. And I was like, oh, faith is that trust that I don't know what I'm doing, because otherwise I'd be fine. But I've tried and it hasn't worked, so I've got to let go. So the first part is letting go. The second part is acting on your first impulse. And that's a beautiful place to be when you're trying to work out what's your truth or not. And some people, might go, okay, well, I can't act on my first impulse because isn't that conditioning? And to a certain extent it might be. But the next step is realizing there's no right or wrong on your first impulse. It's allowing that impulse to happen, to then see what the result is on the other side. See what life shows up after you've had your moment. And it can be fearful to have your first moment, but then how do we interpret what happens to us on the other side of that moment you have? And that is when we talk about the fourth step is the mirror's intention. So the mirror is life showing back to you. Okay, so we've let go. We're now acting on our first impulse, which is the first thing before we think through the conditions that we've been thought, we kind of process through. We go, oh, this is what I wanted to do. This is scary. This part's like, oh my gosh, first of all, I've let go. And now you're telling me to act on my first impulse. Were you trying to kill me? And I'm like, we're going to start small. So don't worry. We're not going to get you, career advice and having to do all these big things. We got to care for the little children who are freaking out right now, going, don't tell me to jump into the deep end and then I don't know how to swim. This is a beautiful progression through everyday choices, everyday moment by moment choices. So we're letting go, we're acting on first impulse, we're knowing that there's no right or wrong because we're still working ourselves out. And at the end of the day, if we think about all the different ways we get to where we are, how is there a right or wrong? It's all very relative. And we've got to understand the gut feeling, and our truth is that aligned feeling that we make the choice by. And then we interpret. We have to learn how to interpret. This is really important. I do a lot of work with called Conversations with Shadows. I created a bit of a process where we talk to the inner children, and we talk to the fact that they react to what's happening because they've gone on their first impulse. And then as we do that, we've got to understand how to interpret what the mirror is showing us, what life's showing us. Because otherwise we're feeling very out of control. We don't want to throw you in the deep end, tell you to just do what you want, and then not know how to interpret. What if it doesn't work out in alignment? Because that's our goal. We want to be in alignment, but we have to learn how to interpret how to get to the alignment, even when life isn't showing us the alignment. It feels like that, but actually it's beautifully showing us the alignment. It's showing us how to step into alignment based on what it's showing us. So The last part is the unconditioning that root cause. So from your interpretation of the mirror that is showing up as something that you need to work on, because it's the trigger, it brings up all these emotions, we now beautifully go to the inner children that are reacting, which is our emotions and feelings and triggers. And we work with them to see where they've come from, to see why they're there, to understand the 0 to 10 kind of impact that conditions have had in their childhood, and know that it's from those conditionings back then that they're still afraid. And it's about loving them and accepting them and understanding them and being present with them as if a parent would be to a child. So what this process is about embodying your beautiful parent, that maybe we didn't experience having a parent that helped us to do that. And so I just love this part. This is my favorite. It's about loving ourselves. And we all want unconditional love. I was like, I don't even know what that means. That doesn't even make sense, that word. But this is like, if you can imagine a parent, just, you know, when kids get a tantrum and they just want to let all their energy out. And they just, if you let them just have their moment and you sat there and you were unconditionally present, they would have their moment and then they would go, oh, I was just heard. Oh my gosh, like mum just listened to me, or dad just like, oh my gosh. And then they go, okay, I'm going to go play now. You know, you see kids who like they just want to get all their energy out and they just want to be loved for it, whatever it is. And then they go, oh, that's nice. So a lot of trauma and conditioning that is stuck in us, that are beliefs, happen back when we were little, and they get stuck and they haven't finished their trauma cycle. They haven't finished this cycle, which allows the emotion to come and be released and loved into existence and then released. So what's happened is had a situation, we've shown up in a certain emotion and it's been rejected. And then we've gone, uh-oh, trauma stuck. It's stuck there. And then living life through that trauma cycle is what we experience as the constant barrage of this. It's filtering through. That's just trying to release all this mental overwhelm. It's just a build-up of the trauma, of the conditioning that is trying to release. And because we're still living through everyone else's as well, can you imagine trying to do, I mean, yes, we can imagine. This is what we do every day. We just don't realize that we've got to get back to what is it going to be like if I had been validated for all of my emotions all along, because they're always beautifully present for a reason. They're here to tell us something. And when we get present with that, the clarity that comes from that, because all the clarity is accepting the moment, the reaction that's happening for everything it is. It's not having to fight the other person. It's only having to talk to yourself. You are your first priority. It's your full-time job to get to know yourself so well so that you are calm and beautifully clear and honest, and not afraid to be honest, because you're like, this is my truth. I know this. And I'm so compassionate about why I have this reaction that even if I have it, I'm like, well, that makes sense. Right? So it's not this, like, the overwhelm is kind of subsided because we're clear about knowing ourselves. And do you know what the best thing, and this is my favorite part of the manifestation of this journey, is that the way you treat yourself because of this beautiful compassion is shown up so beautifully in the mirror. The experiences that happen as a result, this is when you get your desires. This is when your dreams are manifest. This is when life shows up and goes, oh yes, you're there and you're going to keep getting there and we're going to keep taking life and showing you. And this is just the dance. It's the dance of acceptance.
That's so beautiful. And I love those 5 steps. So can we tell that again? The first one is letting go. And the second one is
acting on first impulse.
Acting on the first impulse. And the third one?
No right or wrong.
All right. So no right or wrong. And then from there, we move on to
mirror's intention.
Mirror's intention. And then the 5th one.
Yeah, is unconditioning the root cause.
Unconditioning the root cause. Wow. What a beautiful set of things you've put together, and that's amazing. Beautiful. So now let's get started with the journey that you have for us. Is it kind of a meditation? So Chelsea is going to give us just a small 10-minute or so quick healing kind of a meditation that she's going to take us on a journey. So let's go with her.
Okay, so we're going to close our eyes. Okay. And we're going to do a beautiful little presence with our aspects, with something that comes up for you. And this is what we do in the Conversations with Shadows exercise. So we're going to breathe in. We're just going to allow ourselves to breathe in life. And we're going to breathe out the resistance to feeling, the resistance to allowing ourselves to be our true selves. Breathing in acceptance of everything that we are, and breathing out just the acknowledgement that sometimes we don't always know what's going on the bigger picture. Breathing in, allowing any emotion right now to come up. And breathing out the resistance of that allowing. So I want you to, as you're breathing, see if there's anywhere in your body that you feel any tenseness. Anywhere that you feel like you're holding resistance. And I want you to see if there's anything that comes to mind as you're experiencing that sensation. It might be a thought. It might be an emotion. I just want you to let it be present with you. To allow them to speak to you, to just be present. And what we do here is we could even visualize this particular emotional feeling or statement. Being a little child. Little child may have been conditioned when they were little to believe something. To fear something. We might see them sitting on the floor in a ball, not knowing how to handle something, or we might see a hyper child running around, wanting to just release energy. What I want you to do is I want you to embody the parent self. I want you to embody yourself looking at this child in whatever feeling or emotion or statement that you've come up with. You can visualize it, great. If you can feel it, we're going to feel the parent adult aspect come into us. And we are going to gift that little child that feeling with everything that you would have wanted in that moment of that emotion being there. That little child might need you to go over and hug her, to let her cry. That little hyper child might want you to laugh and be so joyous about her excitement and her energy. There might be a lonely child. You might see her not even anywhere for you to be seen, but you might notice that she's not there and you might want to call her into existence. This is really about being so present with everything that comes up and knowing that they're beautifully just wanting the love and validation and acceptance of them exactly as they are. You might want to ask them what they need. You might want to see if they want anything else from you. This is a beautiful two-way relationship that you're developing after years of them probably feeling like they haven't been heard or seen. I want you to feel what it feels like in your body to be present with these emotions, no matter how hard they may feel, to embrace and be present with them. Some of you may even be dealing with an angry child. Sometimes that can be scary. And yet we all know that emotions come and they go. They come to teach us, and then they are okay to subside when they feel safe, when they feel heard. And we've got to allow ourselves to be so present so that they can beautifully express what they've always wanted to express. As you allow them to be, and you are allowing yourself to be unconditionally, let's take a few deep breaths and feel what it feels like to be loved, no matter what you're feeling. Feel what it feels like to be validated because there's a reason. And feel what it feels like to be accepted. That no matter when you want to arise in that emotion, you will always be there for one another. So just breathe in into love and acceptance. And we breathe out any resistance to the acceptance. And we just know that we are present. We will tune in and be present and learn how to when we don't know how to. Every single step of the way. And know that how you've done it right till now is just beautifully perfect for how you knew at the time. The journey going forward is the lesson that you will learn to integrate all of these beautiful parts of you that make you, you. When you're ready, you can open your eyes and feel yourself back in the room.
Wow, what a beautiful journey. That was beautiful. And I love the way how quickly you got into the inner child and so much love. That was so beautiful. Thank you so much, Chelsea. I'm still there. I'm not yet back.
I
Like,
know.
oh
I did feel a
yeah,
little bit.
I'm like, oh
like
yeah, this is interview.
I know, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful, and I obviously encourage people to do that and stay present and be within that. And that's part of the things we do in the program and in sessions. But I really wanted people to feel that beautiful presence of our inner children and feel the calm, okay acceptance of it is being as it is. So yeah, if you need to go away now and keep doing that, absolutely, with any kind of aspect that you feel safe enough to do so now.
Yes, yes, my dear viewers, you can just rewind back and do that. I think it was really quick, just 5 to 7 minute session, but you can already start feeling the transformation from all that I have learned through so many different modalities as well. It's love and acceptance. The more we start loving the inner child of us and accepting ourselves, that's going to transform all areas of our lives. So that's the very first foundational first step on which we have to stand in order to transform. So I think that 7 to 8 minute session itself, so you can just keep doing it at least once a day for the next few days until you feel that transformation spreading into your life. So that's what usually happens. That was so beautiful. Thank you so much. So my dear viewers, you have the link of Chelsea in the comment box below. You can click on that and you can book your session with her. If you're interested in the Unconditioned Self program, you can reach out to her in the link below. When you click on it, you can click on book a session and then you can have a conversation with Chelsea, and you can see what is it that you would like to have at this time in your life, and how she can help you overcome and transform your life. And we also have a 10% off discount coupon code. The coupon code is 0 point. When you contact her, just let her know about this coupon code and she will give you a 10% off on your first booking. So thank you so much, Chelsea. Any final words?
You are so welcome. No, I think that was beautiful. I think that, yeah, I just feel so blessed to be able to, you know, gift even just these small little lessons, because it's just transformed my life, and I'm very, very much in love with allowing people to set themselves free from that that mental overwhelm, which, you know, it looks like work, play, trying to integrate all of the different areas of our lives, and yet it can be as simple as just really getting back to self, really getting back to loving that self. And from there, we watch all of those parts of our lives just beautifully intertwine with each other. And then we actually experience the life we desire all along. So yeah, I just love simplifying that to that level. It allows everyone just to go, okay, so it's not as big as I think. I don't need to have 10 goals for 10 different things, and when I've achieved them, I feel good. We want you to feel good right now. We want you to be acceptance and loving towards yourself right now. And that's life. This is life.
Yes, beautifully said. Thank you so much, my dear viewers. I hope the session really helped you. If you would like to support, please do subscribe and share this video with your friends and family, of people whom you know are going through this trouble in their life and they might need help, and this video can help them. And the session she did is so beautiful. So make sure you're sharing it with as many people as you can. Thank you so much for all your support. I'm going to see you in the next show. Thank you, Chelsea. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you.